Hey everyone, what's going on? Retire on Dividends here. Back to make another review of a underlying stock, one of the underlying stocks on the YieldMax funds. This time it's for ticker symbol AMD. And as you can see right on this, on the screen, I wanted to do this up front so I didn't forget. Because I always, when I do research some of like underlying dividend stocks that I invest in one of my retirement accounts, I always look at this, and I compare to the S&P 500. So, or SPY, I should say. So if I look at AMD real quick, this is just, again, it's kind of like, we'll get into what AMD is, but I wanted to cover this first because I know I'd forget at the end. Take a look at the share price 10 years ago on November 18th, 2013, $3.47. Today, it's at $1.20. Wow. I mean, that's pretty nuts. So if you compare the total average return, AMD versus SPY, I mean, obviously, they win. 42% average annual return. SPY average annual return, 11%. Not bad. So $10,000 for AMD 10 years ago would be $347,000. Again, I'm assuming this is right. But that's absolutely amazing. $10,000 on the SPY would only be $30,000, but this is like just insane. I had to go over this first because I can't believe it. Anyway, moving on. So this is the website for YieldMax where they have the AMD ticker, which obviously the underlying is AMD. Real quick, I just want to cover their current distribution rate cannot be ignored. It's at 65%. Because AMD is very volatile. So, obviously it's, and it's doing pretty good. It's kind of like maintaining its capital, which is unusual for these funds. So, a lot of people, I covered PayPal the other week for YieldMax ticker PP. And a lot of people wanted me to cover AMD. So here I am. And I'll get back to this website in a second. So let's go to the investor relations website of AMD. So, as you can see, this is the website for AMD, the industry's high performance and adaptive computing leader. Okay, great. What else they got? They got Q3 financial results, which we'll get into. Just some news, stock snapshots. Obviously, the price we went over is about 120. 52-week range, 60 to 132. So they are actually at their high. This is important information when you're investing in AMDY because you don't want to invest it at the high because you take the full downside. So that's not good being a YieldMax AMD holder. Here's some documentations. They have a slide presentation, which I did save. And I'll pull up in a second. Revenue of $5.8 billion for third quarter 2023. That's no joke right there. Again, more about presentations, something about the company, blah, 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 blah. So let's close this out. And, this talks about the financial results. So I did save the slide presentation under my files. I did not highlight anything because this is all visual, and we love visuals because you don't have to read much. I mean, I hate reading, so it works out for me. So here we go. Just stuff about their leadership technology. They basically do chips, right? That's as far as I know. Again, they're like one of the lead AI companies. Here's our leadership products: data center, client, gaming, and embedded. So, again, read what you want for the data center, CPUs, GPUs, I don't even know what any of this means. Client, leadership CPUs and APUs for notebook and desktop PCs, gaming, top to bottom desktop and notebook GPUs, game console, and whatever. I mean, this company is over my head. You IT people out there, this is probably English to you. Embedded, I don't even know what the hell that means, but here we go. AMD is uniquely positioned in AI. I mean, that's good to hear because AI is the future, right? And this is just some of their chips and products in here. So I'm not going to go through them all because I probably can't even say half of these names. So here's what I can understand, numbers. So revenue of 5.8 billion in Q3 23. If you compare that to 5.6 billion last year, that's a 4% year over year increase. That is good. Gross margin also increased for GAAP and non-GAAP. And operating income, Q3 last year for GAAP was a loss, and then non-GAAP was, it's flat. It's a break even, so that's pretty good. GAAP was not a loss for this year, only 0.2 billion. If we look at earnings per share, GAAP 18 cents versus 4 cents last year, and then non-GAAP 70 cents versus 67 cents. So just so you know, GAAP is general accounting principles, which is the U.S. standard. Non-GAAP kind of covers like, international standards. At least that's how we work it at my job. So here we go. Revenue, Q3 23, 5,800. Q3 22, 5,500. So again, revenue went up. Gross profit went up. Gross margin went up. This is year over year. Everything went up year over year. Net income, 299 versus 66. I assume this is this is in the million. So that's 299 million versus 66 million. And then they compare Q3 23 to last quarter. Revenue up 8%, gross profit up 12%, net income up 1,000%, earnings per share up 800%. AMD is on the up and up. Maybe that's why they're at their 52-week high or near their 52-week high. Again, revenue, this is like the last 5 quarters, I guess. So, let's go in order. This quarter was 5.8 billion. Last quarter, 5.4. Quarter before that, 5.4. Then 5.6, the prior two before that. So the last quarter, they did well, needless to say. I don't want to bore you with these numbers. You can look at this. This is just a visual. Again, earnings, per share, not that great for GAAP. Last 5 quarters there was a negative 9 cents, Q1 23. Q2 23 was 2 cents, and then Q3 23 was 18 cents. Keep an eye on that. I know they don't pay a dividend, so at least that's good. Earnings per share, non-GAAP, obviously looks better, because keep in mind there's different accounting principles required for GAAP versus non-GAAP. But 70 cents Q3 23 versus Q2 23. So they're on the up and up. Cash did go down 8% from this quarter to last quarter. Accounts receivable went up 17%, inventory down 3%, and total debt is flat. Okay, at least they didn't gain more debt. This gets into the nitty gritty of their different segments and how they're doing, which to me is very boring. AMD commitment to ESG, okay, whatever. And that's pretty much it. I mean, again, these are, I'm just covering what I think is of interest, and what you guys may or may not care about. But overall, AMD, all that showed us is Q3 dominated, right? So now let's look at their competitors. So I just did some Google searches, and I'll go through all the tabs I thought was relevant for this video. The main competitors of AMD include Intel, Texas Instruments, Applied Materials, Analog Devices, Micron Technology, Semiconductors, Broadcom, T-Mobile. What the hell? And then you get a stupid pop-up like this. Okay. You want me to pay to read that? Fine. I'm done with I'm done reading that anyway. So let's go on to the next thing I was looking at. And this is more about their competitors. Let me close this. Okay. So if you look at like the market cap, maybe we could sort by market cap. Okay. So NVIDIA, as we know, was like the biggest. They're bigger than AMD, but AMD is right, not right behind them, but they're number 2. followed by Intel, followed by Texas Instruments, which is surprising. I thought Texas Instruments was bigger. Micron, right down beneath there. So if you guys were wondering, oh my God, these websites are horrible. All it is just pop-ups. If you guys were wondering, yes, NVIDIA is bigger than AMD. And I looked up the forecast. 39 analysts offering a 12-month price forecast for AMD micro devices. Obviously, they have a median target of 130, a high estimate of 200, and a low estimate of 98. They're currently priced at about 120. So, again, take that with a grain of salt. Okay, now one of my favorite websites is the Macro Trends website. So if we look at their revenue, again, another pop-up. I guess these people make money with their pop-ups. Take a look at the revenue year over year, right? 23. So they had 23 billion. 2022 had 23 billion. 2021, 16 billion. 2020, 9 billion. 2019, 6 billion. Needless to say, this is a growing company, as you can tell from when it was priced at $3. Quarter over quarter is to the right. As you can see, it's kind of stagnant. The revenue, it's kind of flat quarter over quarter. They don't 630. I assume 630 represents their Q3. And, well, no, because it's not showing an increase from prior quarter. And that slide presentation had that, was showing that information. So let's look at earnings per share. Oh, my God. I seriously hate every website. Earnings per share year over year, 22 at 84 cents, 2021 257, 2020 206, 2019 30 cents. I mean 22 was not so great. And then if you look to the right, that shows the quarterly breakdown. Obviously, not doing too good in late 22, early 23. So I'm not sure what AMD was priced at that time, but it was probably the time to get in. But 2 cents, yes, okay, yeah, that was the prior quarter. So they don't have 3Q up here yet, which is why it looked confusing on the revenue part. But yeah, my Macro Trends, go check it out. It has all the information you need and historical data. I have found mistakes here, though, believe it or not. So do be careful. So it's still a great source, but nothing's perfect. So let's close that out. And now let's go to YieldMax. So what are they doing? So they pay a 65% yield. Let's just take a look at their holdings. So they have treasuries. Okay, great. They have a synthetic that's priced at 120. Okay. It's actually currently at 120, so that's fine. And then has a call expiring. Where is it? 11/24/23. 2 calls. So one at 122 and then one at 125. So if we go here to Market Watch, so they're at 120 and they have calls at 122. What was the other one? 125. Very close strike prices, just like Tesla. I don't like that. But AMD has been, what's their NAV? Their NAV has been pretty, staying pretty good. Most of these funds launch around $20. Their NAV is $20. So AMD seems like has been on the up and up, has an insane yield. AMD has an insane yield, but AMD seems like a good company that, it does have up and downs and it does have a lot of competition, but it is very volatile. But the question is, what we care about is, will they stay in business? That's what I care about, right? If I invest in these companies, will they be around for the next 10 years? And will YieldMax sell calls further out of the money to capture any upside? Although they're close to the 52-week high. So maybe there's not much upside at the moment. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, if we go to the chart here, again, another pop-up. Here we go. We click. Go away. Okay, that's the one. Let's go out 6 months. Okay, pretty flat. Let's go out 1 year. Okay, yeah, the 1 year looks really good. But yeah, it's a volatile stock. It's at near the 52-week high, and the AMD YieldMax fund pays a hefty yield, but it could tank with AMD at any point in time. So what are my thoughts on AMD? I mean, again, I personally, obviously you can tell by this video, I am not like a chip. I don't know about these chips. I don't play video games. I'm not into computers. So it's not really my bread and butter. But the numbers are. The numbers show that they're okay. All right, they're going to be okay. And I don't own AMD. I may buy some, keeping in mind that NVIDIA is in the same sector. So I would, consider that when I'm allocating my funds towards it. And by the way, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. But yeah, my opinion on AMD, it's an okay company. It has a lot of competition, and it should be around for the near term. My opinion on AMDY is I may make a small position at some point, but maybe I'll wait till it dips, because I don't want to do what I did with Tesla. I got in, when Tesla was pretty high, and then boom, 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 I took, the full downside. So I don't want that to happen. But anyway, guys, that's all I got. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you have any questions, leave in the comments. If you want me to review any of the other underlying stocks under YieldMax, let me know, and we'll go from there. All right. I'm out of here. Have a great one. Later.